For some barbarians, it's the strength of past warriors that feeds their primal rage. This is the path of the Ancestral Guardian. Hey fellow Game Masters, I'm Richard Quiner, and welcome back to the Daily D20, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. And today we're talking about the path of the Ancestral Guardian, one of the Barbarian Primal Paths, the first one listed in the books really, and it is all about leaning on your ancestors to help make you a stronger, better barbarian. Story-wise, most often these barbarians are the ones that have a very strong connection to their past, to their ancestors, to the history of their tribe. Listed in the book, it mentions that these barbarians often get a lot of different tattoos on their body. Maybe think Maui from Moana, but instead of the tattoos being their own accomplishments, they are the accomplishments of their ancestors. So they have a really strong connection to their past and their tribal history. So what do you get when you decide to take the primal path of Ancestral Guardian? Well, you get a lot of cool stuff, but right off the bat, at level 3, you get what's called Ancestral Protectors. Now, I like to think of these more as protectors for your allies rather than protectors for yourself, but here's why. At level 3, when you choose this path, whenever you rage, you get some spectral ancestral warriors show up to help you out. Whenever you decide to attack a creature while raging, these warriors will target that same creature, but they won't actually hurt it. They won't damage the creature. What they will do, though, is impose disadvantage on any of that creature's rolls or attack rolls against any of your allies other than you. In addition to that, whoever they're targeting, when they attack one of your allies, the damage they deal is reduced by these spectral warriors. In a pinch, this is a great way to force a strong enemy to change their tactics, maybe to target you instead of your allies, or at the least give disadvantage on their attacks so that makes them a little harder for them to actually damage somebody. This is a prime tank effect, meaning it is perfect to get your enemies to focus on you so your allies can hit them harder than you can possibly, and really, even though you don't get the disadvantage, like your target won't be disadvantaged hitting you, you're probably a lot tougher than your allies just because you're a barbarian, so that's a good thing in itself, so think about that. At level 6, you gain the ability Spirit Shield, which really ups your mobility and utility of these Spirit Guardians. What this means is while you're in combat and raging, if you see an ally being attacked within 30 feet, you may use your reaction to send your Spirit Warrior Guardian to protect them and reduce the damage that is dealt to that person by, at this level, at level 6, by 2d6, and at level 10 and level 14 it goes up to 3d6 and 4d6. So it levels up as you get stronger, but it's also just real quick. You could just be like, oh, I'm going to protect you over there, and you can send your guy over to protect him. Really useful. Again, heavy on tanking abilities. That's what it seems the Ancestral Guardian is all about, or Ancestral Protectors is all about, is protecting your allies and just becoming the tank of the party. It's important to remember at this point, though, that a reaction is one time per round of combat, so you really have limited uses, so you have to choose wisely who you're going to use it on. Maybe keep an eye on the spellcasters of your party or the healers, because healers oftentimes will be targeted first, because you get rid of the healer, you're more likely to kill the party, that kind of thing. So you got to just be aware of who's getting attacked and when they're getting attacked, so you can use your Ancestral Guardian Spirit Shield power a little more effectively. At level 10, the Ancestral Protector gets a little bit of magic in their arsenal, and this is basically they get to commune with the spirits of their ancestors to find out more information about their current situation, and also maybe what's going on in another location that they might need to know about. Once per short or long rest, the Ancestral Guardian may cast the spells Clairvoyance or Augury for free. Now these spells have two different functions, but both of them lead into divination and kind of looking into an area that you might not have known before. Augury is very basic. It lets you know if the end action of a choice will be good, bad, or neutral, depending on your DM's answer to the question. And Clairvoyance will allow you to put one of your Spirit Protectors, they'll be invisible, in a location that you've been or know about, and they'll be able to feed back some visual or audio data to you in magic form. It's like a magic spy cam, basically, but it's your Spirit Guardian. I think this is a really cool path because adventure parties are so small that there's often not really room or use of a divination wizard type character in parties. They tend to be overlooked by a lot of players because they're not a high damage dealing class, but in this case, the Barbarian could fill in and take a spot of adding some divination effects to the party to give them a little more guidance on what they're doing, and I think that's really cool, and it's just useful because a short or long rest means you don't have to wait every day and do it. When you take a long rest, you can do it, rest an hour, do it again. You can keep using this ability over and over, so it's pretty versatile. In terms of Barbarians, they rarely get to use magic like this, so it's kind of cool. And at level 14, the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian gains the ability Vengeful Protectors. Now this is when your Ancestral Protectors can fight back a little bit. Basically how this works is whenever you decide to use your Spirit Shield to protect an ally, that damage that the Ancestral Protectors reduce the attack by is then bounced back to the enemy in force damage. What this means is an attacker can attack your ally, the damage gets reduced by 2d6, and that 2d6 damage is bounced back at the attacker, and that could very well mean the end of the attacker. They could kill themselves by attacking your ally, so it makes it even more dangerous for your enemies. And it's as if Barbarians don't do enough damage already, this just gives you a little more oomph while protecting your allies, makes you a more versatile tank, because you're also now dealing damage to all the enemies that decide to attack your friends. The Ancestral Guardian path has quite a few pros, mainly being the fact that it's a pretty decent tank, but it still deals a little bit of damage, which makes it really good for non-min-maxed characters. You don't have to be the super overpowered Barbarian in order to use Ancestral Guardians effectively. And the effect of being able to give disadvantage to people really helps knowing that you're more likely going to control what they're doing, so I would say it's a really good ground control path as well. Just let you control the battlefield while also tanking is a really good option for pretty much everyone. It's a really good thing to have in your party at any time. The downsides of this path is that your damage output isn't as high as it could be for a Barbarian, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment here, but also the fact that the Ancestral Protectors don't really protect you, they protect your allies, so you're going to be relying on your own armor class and your own hit points in order to be more survivable in combat. So when I'm building the Ancestral Guardian, I would tend to go for a non-min-max. I would try to lean a little more into making my armor class a little stronger and my hit points a little higher, rather than focusing on my damage output. So I would probably lead and make my Constitution my highest ability score, then followed by Strength and then Dexterity, because using unarmored defense for Barbarians, your Constitution will come into play and make your armor class a lot much higher, and it will boost your HP every round, or every time you level up, you'll get that much more depending on your Constitution. While Strength mainly gives into your damage dealing and fighting, hitting things, it's not as vital because you're more of a crowd control, defensive kind of Barbarian. And for pretty much all Barbarians, I will say it's a really good idea to just rage early on. If you can read the combat situation and you decide you definitely will need to rage during a fight, or during this particular fight, then just do it early on, because like I mentioned in the Barbarian video, one rage lasts for 1 minute, which is equal to 10 rounds of combat if you really break down the numbers. So 10 rounds of combat, most combat doesn't even last that long unless it's like a really big boss that just absorbs hits. At least at first you want to be a little picky, but later on when you're getting like 6 rages a day at the higher levels and you have a lot more uses, you don't need to wait. You don't need to hold on to them, because they're going to make you that much better in combat. All of the effects that you get from this primal path, the Ancestral Guardians, only really take effect when you're raging. So think about that and just rage away. I would also suggest, once you get the level of Clairvoyance and Augury, just be liberal with them. Use them as much as you can. Whenever your party's going to make a decision, use Augury. Whenever you need to find out what's going on in another place, use Clairvoyance. Use those, take your short rest, get it back. That kind of thing I think will help the party immensely. So let me know what you think of this primal path in the comments below. Also in the description there will be a link to a poll. You can go and rate this primal path based on your personal experience and what we've talked about in this video. And like I said, at the end of this whole series, we'll talk about the different primal paths and rate them in order of worst to best. So check out that link and put in your vote. Anyways, I've been Richard. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see on the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. You can also click over here to see more videos in this playlist, or over here to see what YouTube suggests you watch from my channel.